Hi y'all, I'm Eileen, the Mellow Astrologer, and if you've been paying attention or if you're on my mailing list, then you know that this month, June 2021, has some super intense astrology. Like, so much is going on. And the astrology is a reflection of what we're experiencing in our life. So if you've had a month that already has been a special kind of crazy town, then I assure you, you are not alone. I want to just plug my freebie that I have for you guys because it's a list of the important astrological dates for the year, including these crazy transits that we're having. A transit is just the movement of the bodies, the celestial bodies, okay? So this little thing that you can download, it actually links directly to your digital calendar, so you only have to print it out if you're a total astro nerd like I am, but it also gives you some tips for how to navigate the time so that it's not just me telling you, oh hey, today's a big energy day, right? Like, it's important to know, well, what do I do with that energy? And that's what this video is about. So this entire year, 2021, we astrologers consider it to be kind of like colored by the Saturn-Uranus squares that we are experiencing. So a square is when two planets are making a 90-degree angle to each other. If you're not a student of astrology, you can ignore that, but many of my followers are students, so I explain some of the technicalities as I move through these videos. Okay, so when two planets are in square to each other, this is what we consider a challenging aspect, and it refers to or signifies that we will be experiencing some sort of external challenge in our life. And usually these challenges are somewhat unexpected, or the particular challenge is unexpected, but the flavor is something that you're accustomed to, right? So every single one of us has areas of our lives where we encounter frequent challenges. It could be in your relationships, it might be in your workplace, whatever it is. And then of course we have other challenges here and there, but like we all have this one thing that we complain about all the time, right? It's probably easier to identify this with a friend than for yourself, but this is pretty universally true that we are working on a particular set of patterns and issues in our lifetimes. So the Saturn-Uranus square, this is happening for everyone right now, not just me and not just you. And the planets are coming into very close contact with each other 3 different times in the year. That's why I recommend that you download this thing, because it has all of those dates, which is, so the whole year is colored or flavored by the Saturn-Uranus square, but then we have 3 dates this year where it's like super potent. So we're feeling the energy all year long, and then on 3 particular days, it's like, right? Like the volcano is kind of spouting all year, and on 3 different days, we actually get the lava and the ash and all that stuff. So the first time this happened was February 17th, 2021. So you can reflect back and see, what happened on February 17th? The second time this is happening is Monday, June 14th. This is only 4 days after the eclipse season, the second of 2 eclipses. So we had an eclipse on May 26th, and then we had an eclipse on June 10th, and now we have the second Saturn-Uranus square on June 14th. Keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde during this time, so it's like, this is some big juju, people. I know you're not astrologers, and it's hard to understand the relativity. Take my word for it. This is a lot happening in a very short period of time. So we are feeling this energy. It's reflecting the celestial events, these transits are reflecting back to us that we got some big time shit happening in our lives right now, okay? And it's not good, bad, or otherwise, it's just intense. And often how we think about an event is how we characterize whether or not it's positive or negative, right? What you consider negative, I might see as a positive, and vice versa. Regardless, it is intense and it is likely to be challenging. But as we know, challenges are impetus for soul growth. As one of my teachers says, Maurice Fernandez, he's an evolutionary astrologer, he made some comment once about how if we didn't have these challenges, if we didn't have struggles, if we didn't have strife in our life, we would never evolve. We would just be lazy. learn anything new. We wouldn't grow in any way. So it's the challenges that assist us with our growth, particularly our evolutionary growth. Okay, so I want to put this in context. Now, Saturn and Uranus. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, systems and structures, organization, and really being a wise person with integrity who works hard. These are some of the archetypes of Saturn. But on a spiritual perspective, Saturn is the master or the parent who is relentless in his drive to assist us in becoming masters. Okay, so Saturn has a bad rap in astrology because usually when there is a Saturn transit in our own lives or collectively, it's not always so nice, just to be real. However, the end result, if we work the energy, is fabulous. It's like nobody wants to go plant the seeds because it's hard work, but everybody wants to eat the yummy, juicy fruit, right? So this is representative of Saturn. Like, you have to put in the hard work to reap the benefits and the results. Okay, so just want you to keep this in mind. Uranus is the planet of revolution and freedom and reform generally, okay? And it is a very, it's like the underdog energy. It's somebody who has a lot of Uranian energy or Aquarius energy wants to see the underdog win. They're a social activist. They're an individual, very individualistic, kind of weird. It's the archetype of the genius or somebody who is kind of like a lone wolf outside of the fold, typically because their intelligence is so far developed that it is considered to be, it's like a Van Gogh or an Albert Einstein kind of energy, right? Now, what Uranus on a spiritual transcendent level is looking for is to break free of the limitations and boundaries that bind us, that prevent us from seeing growth. So Saturn wants us to identify where we've become stunted and restructure so that we can have a solid foundation. And Uranus wants us to break free from whatever is stunted, okay? So there's a difference. Saturn really wants a level of restructuring. Saturn isn't necessarily keen on blowing up the bridge, you know? Uranus is like, blow this sucker up and start over. It's a much more extreme kind of energy. And so when these two planets meet, there's often kind of a battle between the old and the new. And this can occur in our own lives, but we're seeing it collectively as well. Rather, this will occur in our individual lives as well as the collective. So we can see this with social reforms in particular right now. There's many reasons for that, not just the Saturn-Uranus square. I won't go into it because it's too technical. However, we are also seeing it individually. So where in your own life is there this battle or war that you're undergoing, or even just a struggle of resistance between how you've been doing things and the way that you know you have to start doing things, right? So we all have something like that in our lives. I can only speak for myself here, but I can also give you an example that a friend gave me recently of her own life, and I won't name her name, but she has some family dynamics happening that she knows needs to change. So she can no longer do things the way she used to do them in her home. But she really doesn't know how to proceed, or maybe there's even some resistance there about wanting to proceed. The Saturn-Uranus squares make it abundantly clear that we must move forward. It doesn't matter how much we want to resist, doesn't matter how much we dislike what we know we have to do, we have to do it. And we have to do it because it's in the best interest of our evolutionary growth, right? Collectively and individually. The shit is hard. It's hard work. We don't grow. We don't become better people. We don't grow in our integrity and our emotional maturity and our ability to conduct our businesses or to be a good employee, to be a good mother, whatever it may be. We don't do that by remaining stagnant and doing the same thing over and over and over again, okay? Saturn doesn't like to change things up. It will do it if it sees a benefit. So Uranus, on a spiritual level, has a really keen ability. Uranus is the eagle. Saturn is the mountain goat, okay? Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn. Think of the mountain goat going up to the top of the mountain and being able to see all across the land, right? It has this broad vision and perspective. And it's climbed the most tenuous mountain, that's not the right word, the most difficult mountain to get to the top, right? Uranus is the eagle that can see even further and can fly further to see even more than that mountain goat can. It's very visionary. So almost a radical vision for the future. So as we experience these intense energies, let me just say that how you're experiencing them in your own life is different. My friend's experience of them is different than my experience of them. I was going to give you an example from my own life. I don't remember what it is now. But how I'm experiencing it is much different than how my friend is experiencing it, because these planets are activating or reflecting back to us which sectors of our life is activated. The horoscope is a wheel with 12 different houses, and each house represents a different area of life that we all experience universally. So when we see the planets transiting, moving through a particular house of our natal chart, our horoscope, then we know that that's the area of our life that is going to be energized. I say activated, but again, that's perpetuating this idea that the planets are affecting us rather than reflecting back to us. But yes, those houses are activated. Okay, so the way to know, you know which areas of your life are activated right now. But I, as an astrologer, can assist you in better understanding what's happening, especially from a growth perspective, and how to navigate those energies in a way that's easier, less stressful, more beneficial. I can basically help you better understand yourself. So please schedule a consultation with me if you're curious about these super intense energies. All the links to this stuff, including my freebie, are in the description, okay? And you can get all this stuff from my website as well. On going back to the spiritual perspective, for your own self-inquiry or spiritual practice, what I would ask you to do is to reflect on, what is your vision for the future? We all have a vision for the future. We are usually projecting far more than is helpful into the future. What we want, what we wish we had, fantasies, all of these things. So now's a really good time to reflect on, what do we want for the future? What do we want for the present? And where are we not in alignment with that vision? And this goes back to what I'm always talking about with our values. If we're not in alignment with our vision, it's because our values are off somewhere. That could be one reason that we're not in alignment. The other reason could be that we're not being honest with ourselves. I have a video about that too, I will link to. That's the Sagittarius archetype. So really consider, because the reason I'm asking you to consider and reflect on what you want and what you're working toward in your life. And I know that some of you might say, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm working toward in my life. I think that's the whole problem. Like, oh my God, what do I do, right? Come see me, first of all. I can help you there. But also, it's fine to not know. You surrender that stuff to God. Okay, if you don't like the word God, substitute whatever word you want. That's just my personal word. The reflection exercise is meant to assist you so that when we experience these intense energies, like Saturn squaring Uranus on Monday, that we can hold on to the vision for the future that we want, so that we know that the challenge is actually in service to this vision. It's what I always say, making lemonade out of lemons, right? So one of my favorite MCs says, when life throws you lemons, paint that shit gold. However you want to say it. I have another MC that I love who says, when life threw me lemons, I took the master cleanse. My point here is that there is gold in all of this. Saturn is actually the planet that is really very much about mining for treasure and gold. It's totally the seven dwarves, right? So you have to go into the darkness. You have to do the hard work to pull out the treasure. Life is not going to hand you treasure on a silver platter. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get that, but most of us do not. right? And most of us who are interested in astrology are not getting that. We're looking for answers. We have questions that we want to be answered. And the astrology really can assist us in answering those questions. And right now with the Saturn-Uranus squares, we are getting an opportunity to break free from what has crystallized in our life, what is not in our best interest any longer, okay? And oh, the example I was going to give is that for my business, I was using a program that I seriously disliked. I mean, if you know me well, then when I say dislike, you know that it's really strong, emphatic dislike. And I continued to use this program for several months because I was very overwhelmed by the idea of changing it. Because this is something that's new for me in my business, and you know, when things are new, they're often overwhelming. And also on a logical side, I really hoped that it would improve as my skill using the program improved. There was some very logical merit in continuing to use this program. Well, just this week, the universe has made it abundantly clear that I will not be using this program any longer. And I see it as, it actually happened the day before the eclipse, so just a few days before the Saturn-Uranus square. This is an excellent reminder to you all that we feel these energies, we feel them before and we feel them after. The day of the actual event is usually the most intense, not always, but usually. But we are feeling these energies as it gets closer and closer. Just like if some angry person walks into a room, you can feel their anger even when they're across the room, but you feel it most intensely when they're right in front of you, right? So for me, when I had this experience of, I can't use this program anymore, I'm not gonna lie, I went into complete and total overwhelm. However, I also realized that this energy of Saturn-Uranus, the energy of the eclipse, was making it abundantly clear that this was something that now was preventing me from moving forward, and I had to break free from it and start something new. I've had a lot of insights around why that is, etc., etc. So if you work this energy, then it will work for you. If you have questions, please let me know below. I know a lot of astrologers are going to talk about all the archetypes of Saturn and Uranus. I'm not so interested in doing that. I want you to know how it's going to play out, or how you can expect to see it play out. The next one, I told you that there's 3. So the first was February 17th. The second is June 14th. The last one, it's like 11 p.m. on December 23rd, so Christmas Eve. I'm not gonna lie, this is challenging energy. It was not fun for me to realize that I'm gonna have to change a major program for my business. I went home and cried. I cried. I had to like take a bath in the middle of the day and call my mom and call a close friend and like pretty much lose my shit for a few hours before I could recover and move forward. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but I'm saying if it does happen to you, look at me now. I'm making a YouTube video and smiling. It's not the end of the world, these things that are happening, okay? So I love you so much. Thank you for watching these videos. Please like, subscribe, ask me questions, all the good stuff. And I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful rest of this month. Ciao, ciao.